for Dixiecon 34, the 34th annual Dixiecon, but the only one that has looked like this. So first of all, I want to say that I appreciate everyone participating. I really have to start with some thanks before we do almost anything else. Which I want to start with thanking the folks that helped me GM the games, because honestly, that ended up being a way bigger job than any of us expected. So I really want you all to express your thanks virtually, and the next time you see them, to Mitch McConaughey and to Corey Neslin and to Chris Martin for helping me GM these games. And actually, they did a heck of a lot better job of GMing than I did. To the extent there were any screw ups yesterday, they were almost always mine. So I really appreciate their help. Really could not have done this without their help, seriously. Secondly, I just want to echo about Chris Martin. I also could not have done this thing without Chris Martin. As you know, many things in the hobby would not have worked correctly without Chris Martin, and this is definitely one of them. You would not believe how many things he helped me with behind the scenes getting ready for this thing, and I just really want to publicly say, Chris, you rock. We all know that, but it bears repeating. Which also is an entree into, I wanted to thank the three commentators that was such an addition to this event. I almost can't fathom what it would have been like without the commentary. If you did not actually watch the YouTube videos for both round one and round two, which featured commentary by Brandon Fogel and Siobhan Nolan and Chris Martin, you go back to YouTube and look at them. They're really fun. Particularly those of you that played in a game, you would want to look for the commentary about your own game, just because it was fun. But I just wanted to, again, publicly thank, and I know Brandon set up an awesome interface that is incredibly user-friendly for the viewing audience. And it really allowed people to participate in this virtual Dixiecon that could not participate in playing the games. So again, thank you so much for all three of you for that. That was a tremendous labor of love and a time-intensive thing. I want to thank our standby players. We had some lined up, and we ended up needing a lot more than I thought, which was a miscalculation on my part. I want to say, first of all, thank you to our players who were willing to step in and play, even though they didn't really want to, and there were a bunch of them. There were like 8 of them that ended up doing it throughout the 2 rounds, and I really appreciate it, including Dave Molesky actually learning how to use a computer on the fly, which I thought was awesome. So I really want to thank them for their help. We would have had to reorganize and shrink the number of boards and do all kinds of stuff without their help, and I'm so glad we didn't have to. I want to thank Michael Laurie, who's here on the call. He's the guy that really runs the scoring of this event, and he has done a lot of work to make sure that we are ready to go today. So I want to thank you, Michael. He's only been working on this with me since 1988. He did miss 1987. I forgot exactly why, but he's been working with me on this since 1988, so that's kind of a long time. There is a list, and I'm not sharing it with you all, but I want you to tell me to add things to it. There's a list that Chris started that we're making of lessons that we've learned in our event yesterday for people to improve any future virtual events. The list already has a number of items on it. I'm going to add some more items on it. We definitely learned some things. I think we all discovered that Backstabber is a really good interface. It's not entirely great for the format we were using, in which we were using it yesterday. There was definitely some downsides to it, and I'm not suggesting there's a better alternative, but again, we all should be trying to improve these things instead of just doing random criticism. So if you do have any positive, constructive criticism, I am all ears, seriously. I am hoping that the event that we put on yesterday, which took a lot of work before yesterday, let me tell you, on a lot of people's parts, but I'm hoping that this can be just one of many virtual events that get run not only during our current environment that we're experiencing in the world, but also in the future. Because, you know, one of the great things about yesterday was just imagine the people that you got to play with and at least virtually meet yesterday from all over the world. And even when we're back to having face-to-face events, that's not really going to happen the same way it happened yesterday ever again. So these virtual events could really be fun. There obviously people have already done a little bit before yesterday. I'm not saying that there were not other live games being played online, but I don't think that anybody had done a convention format with this number of boards until yesterday. And again, I'm not suggesting that necessarily be recreated, but I'm really glad that people maybe can learn some lessons and perhaps be inspired to hold their own events this year and maybe on into the future. Another thing that I'm hoping that we learn from all this and that we gain from all this is we've made some connections here. I mean, part of the issue with the diplomacy hobby is that we are sometimes so fragmented. But here we go. We have been able to cross-pollinate here between folks all over the world and all different sub-hobbies, all different interest levels in the game, all different experience levels in the game, and look at how much fun that was to have that interaction. I'm hoping that we can continue to do that. A couple of ways you can help do that is to, with people that you've met through Teams or whatever contact information you have for them, stay in touch. Invite each other to play more games together on Backstabber. It doesn't have to be a live game. I'm talking about regular games. Subscribe to Diplomacy World. And if you enjoyed whichever, you enjoyed your experience, didn't enjoy your experience, write to Doug Kent at the Diplomacy World magazine online and give him a review, write him an article. Subscribe to the Diplomacy Briefing. We've got Russ Dennis here on our probably on our call. I can't see everybody's names right this second, but he certainly participated yesterday, and the Diplomacy Briefing is outstanding. There's all sorts of ways to get involved in the hobby, and I'm hoping that this can be a springboard for that. Some folks have asked me what information is going to be available after this award ceremony, and the answer is a fair amount. Michael is going to post the full results. He actually has each game independently set and scored. So Michael's going to post that. Something just happened to the video feed. I cannot see anybody's video. Can somebody send a chat if you can still see me? Okay, thanks, man.
Yes.
For some reason, the video has gone out completely on everybody but me, which don't want to see me. I want to see you all. What I was going to say was in the chat function, the Dixiecon chat function on Teams, the game results are going to be posted. That includes each board with the results. Also, one of us will get around today to posting a link to all the games on Backstabber, so you can go back and look at your own game or look at other people's games and sort of and reminisce about the experience we had yesterday. All right, I think those are my announcement type things. I want to start talking about the awards. So the first award I would like to give, and normally I would have you up physically to the front of the class at a Dixiecon closing ceremony and give you your physical award. That's not going to happen this year for obvious reasons, but at some point I will be ordering the plaques involved and certificates, and at some point we'll get them to you. And that might actually happen by mail, and it might be because you're going to show up at Dixiecon live next year, and I'll give it to you then. But for the first award I'd like to announce is for the I Got Hammered, which I actually meant to bring. I've got some old awards downstairs. I forgot to bring them up here, but I Got Hammered is an actual gavel that you get when you're particularly smushed over the weekend of gaming. We actually had some good competition for this award. We had one particular game, and I'm just going to say Jonathan Frank went from really awesome to really smushed in like 2 seasons. But it was just sort of a one-game result. I decided to go a different way, which is I wanted to award the I Got Hammered Award to Scott Joffer, who's a great guy from Michigan, player learning the game, but man, did he not have good luck this weekend. But Scott, you'll get an award for it. We appreciate you playing anyway. For the Player's Choice Award, let me tell you about that. That's the award for the person that folks yes, I did remember to push record, Jason. Thank you. Whether it works or not is another question. With respect to the Player's Choice Award, this is the person that says, that you have had the most fun playing with during the convention. It doesn't have to be the person that played the best. It doesn't have to be the person that did really well. It's just the person that you really enjoyed playing with. We had some great nominations for this award, but I'm going to give the nod to our only Portuguese player, Andre Janeco. I hope I'm not messing that up too much, but Andre, you were the selection for Player's Choice. People really enjoyed playing with you and your attitude. Jonathan, you can never have too many I Got Hammered awards. I'm just saying. Just like the bricks, If you want to get more than one brick, you can start build your own wall at your house. But congratulations, Andre Janeka. Let's go to the Death with Dignity Awards. We have 2 of them. These were folks that played out a poor position, played out a position they didn't have much hope, but they played it with dignity, with determination, and with the highest sportsmanship. So we'd like to give these 2 awards to Claude Worrell, who has played at Dixiecon before and has a great attitude, even when he's not having a good games. So way to go, Claude. And I'm also going to award Death with Dignity to Greg Fairbanks, who is currently a resident of the wannabe state of the District of Columbia, but we in North Carolina claim him because he was one of our original North Carolina diplomacy players 30 years ago. So, Greg, we appreciate you playing out that position. And interestingly, you'll hear more about Greg Fairbanks later in the award ceremony, which may be the first time I can remember someone getting some other kind of award in addition to a Death with Dignity. Let me go to the Golden Blade. The Golden Blade is the best stab of the weekend. There were actually pretty good competition for this award. For those that haven't seen it before, the Golden Blade is an actual letter opener. It's a knife. So it has practical benefit for diplomacy players if you win it. But the Golden Blade Award this year, I feel like I had to give it to Christian Klein for his Turkish stab of the Italian player in game 1K from the first round. And of course, many of you know why I'm giving that award to Christian. I did want to point out that the stabbee himself, who I think was George, actually nominated Christian for the Golden Blade Award, and I think Christian definitely deserved it given this situation. Finally, with respect to our sort of fun awards before we get started with the heavy duty stuff, the brick. And for those of you that have been to Dixiecon before, the brick is simply a brick from the Chapel Hill campus somewhere that I have agents go and procure during the weekend. This year, of course, I can't give it live, but the brick basically means whatever we, the tournament people, say it means that particular year. It usually means some kind of bonehead, bizarre, crazy crap thing that you've done. And there's always somebody that deserves this, and sometimes more than one person. There's a few that have shared the brick. I don't know if they cut it in half later or what. But my favorite story about the Brick Award, and since many of you are new to this, was a guy named Kevin Brown. Maybe Kevin's on the meeting right now because he participated yesterday. Kevin actually won the Brick Award one year. This was back in the 90s. He put it in the back of his car and went home to Georgia. Somebody actually broke into the back of his vehicle by smashing the back hatchback with a brick. So when the police came, they asked him, why are there 2 bricks in the back of your car? And he had no good explanation for that. So that's just my favorite brick story of all time. The brick this year was self-nominated, and I had to agree as soon as the nomination was made by herself. Melinda Holly, who was doing really well in the game, had 11 centers, and by mistake, voted her out of the draw, voted herself out of the draw. Now, that's true brick behavior, and I really appreciated the self-nomination. The actual players on the board with Melinda would not let that stand, which I think is simply good sportsmanship. So by acclamation, we actually changed the result of that draw vote to be the correct one. But that does not mean that her behavior does not deserve a brick. Comes to Dixiecon in the future from a great state of Alabama, which is where she lives. She will be receiving a piece of masonry from the UNC Chapel Hill campus as her keepsake. All right. We had some non-diplomacy gaming yesterday. We didn't have a whole lot because it was frankly hard in this system, in this format, to do a lot of non-diplomacy gaming, which is usually a very big part of Dixiecon, to be honest with you. So we are not going to actually award an Ironman trophy. We've all decided we're not on the Ironman site. We're not going to do that. We are going to award the Terraforming Mars tournament to Rick Desper, even though we decided not to have a final today. Rick won both of his original games, so we're going to declare Rick Desper the winner of the Terra Dipping / Terraforming Mars tournament from yesterday's virtual Dixiecon, so way to go, Rick. All right. We are now ready for the Best Country Awards. I had a crazy idea this morning, which was that the Best Country Awards really ought to have a musical interlude that has something to do with the country. Most of the musical interludes I'm going to be supplying myself because I can sing. And then there's one of them that I can't do because it's the Ottoman Empire's national anthem from 18-something to 1922. And I simply could not learn the first line of that today. But I did learn the first line of the Russian national anthem, which was not in effect at the time of diplomacy. It's actually not in effect now, but I already knew the two. So beginning with Best Austria. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me. Best Austria is a tie between Mike Walsh from the state of Maryland and Jonathan Saul, one of our residents from the state of Colorado. So way to go, Mike Walsh and Jonathan Saul for Best Austria. And I get to order 2 plaques, which I can't stand to do. It cost me actual cash. All right, for Best England, God save our gracious Queen. Best England, Russ Dennis from Michigan, otherwise known as Umble the Heap, who runs the Diplomacy Briefing newsletter. The way to go, Russ Dennis.
Dave, can you announce the
centers and draw sizes will be posted later. I actually did not write them down, and you guys can look at them later. The best.
I have them if you want them right now, Dave.
You want to give them out, Michael?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, the Best Austrias had 10 centers each, 3-way draws.
And how about Best England?
That was 12 centers, 3-way.
Great. Allons enfants de la patrie, le jeu de gloire est arrivé, is the French national anthem. The Best France, Randy Lawrence Hurt and Melinda Holly tied. So Randy from Massachusetts and Melinda from Alabama, as I mentioned earlier. Michael, their 3-ways were like 11 centers, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. There's our Best France. O Tannenbaum, wie treuig sind deine Blätter, is the only song I know in German. So there you go. So Best Germany, no, not Deutschland, please. All right, so best Germany is a couple of guys that none of us have ever heard of who tied for Best Germany. I'm just glad they're finally winning something at any kind of diplomacy event. Doug Moore and some guy named Andrew, is it Goff? Is that, am I saying that right? I've never seen that name before. Andrew what? Goff? Australia? Goff from Australia. I think that's what it says. Goff from Australia. And some guy, Doug Moore. I think Doug maybe have been playing in his first tournament. So good way to go, Doug, from the state of Oregon, but formerly of the East Coast. Way to go, Best Germany's.
And those are 3-ways with 11 centers. As is
there we go. Best Italy. The aforementioned Greg Fairbanks from the District of Columbia, who used to be one of our North Carolina players. Greg, coming out of retirement, I think the last time he played competitively was like 1993 or something, seriously. So way to go, Greg Fairbanks, for Best Italy. All right, Best Russia. I just learned this morning. That's probably close. Interestingly enough, the person who won this might have somebody in their family that can correct me, because I cannot imagine a more appropriate name to win Best Russia than Maxim Popov. Maxim, You have won Best Russia from the great state of Iowa in the United States. Iowa representing with Maxime Popov. Way to go, Best Russia. All right, and for Best Turkey, I have to go to the YouTubes.
1 second. Maxime Popov, that would be a three-way with 12 centers. And also our Best Russia. Should mention that the three best scores of the weekend were, Best Turkey, the three best scores of the weekend were all Turkish.
Can you tell us the Italian score?
Italian score was three-way 11 centers.
You guys can't tell me that was not a cool Ottoman Empire opening phrase. I hope you heard that.
We didn't.
Literally the opening phrase. National. You didn't hear it?
No.
Well, crap. Look it up for yourself. This is your homework assignment. Go to YouTube.
Do it again, David. Do it again.
Empire National Anthem. It will come up. It's the anthem that was in effect like between 1283 and 1922. Kind of thing. You can go listen to it. It is incredibly awesome. You do it on your own time. The Best Turkey, Christian Klein with a Turkish win, which is why I got the Golden Blade Award. Way to go, Christian Klein. All right. What you've all been waiting for. The top 7 finishers of the diplomacy tournament. Top 7 finishers in reverse order. I also want to point out that two former international champions tied for 8th and therefore did not get anything. That would be Doug Moore and Nicolas Sauge, who both were literally 1.2 points away from 7th place. That's how important in Dixiecon it is to get an extra center off somebody else, or maybe get several extra center off of somebody else. So Doug Moore, Nicholas Sauge, thanks, but no thanks. You get nothing. Coming in 7th from the state of Massachusetts, Randy Lawrence Hurt with a score of 296. Way to go, Randy. Coming in 6th, also, it's actually the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I believe. I misspoke. It's also from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is our old friend Dan Pollock, coming in at the score of 300. So Massachusetts representing here in the top board of Dixiecon 34. Coming in 5th, everyone's favorite player, particularly those on the live YouTube commentary, from the state of California, Jason Mastbaum with a score of 304, 1 center more than Dan Pollock had. Jason Mastbaum takes down 5th place. Continuing on with a score of 316 from the state of Michigan in his first Dixiecon, Russ Dennis takes home 4th place, which means you get a piece of paper. You do not get a plaque. But thank you anyway for playing. So here we go with the top 3 scores, the people who will get the plaques at some point when I remember to order them and perhaps ship them. Coming in 3rd, the last time Jonathan Saul from Colorado came to Dixiecon, he blew out his Achilles tendon playing basketball with me. This time, instead, he takes home third place with a score of 324. Congratulations, Jonathan Saul.
Thank you. As I recall, that got me the I Got Hammered award that weekend.
Yes, it did, and I thought that was one of the more appropriate I Got Hammers award that's ever been awarded. I got my Achilles tendon was blown out, and you made it back for the next round on crutches, as I recall. You did not miss the next round of diplomacy. All right, coming in 2nd, somebody who, all kidding aside, needs no introduction. He's been to Dixiecon several times, been to lots of tournaments. 3-time world champion from Australia with a score of 328, Andrew Goff. Coming in 2nd. Way to go, Andrew. And to surprise of no one, player from the Chicago, Illinois, Windy City Weasels crowd at his first Dixiecon gets his win in Turkey and therefore catapults to 1st place. the winner of Dixiecon 34, the inaugural virtual Dixiecon, Christian Klein wins the tournament. All right. I believe those are all of my items of business. I want to again thank you all for participating in this event. It was as you all know, it was an experiment, and some things did not go exactly the way we wanted. But I think in general, the fun that we had was worth it. So with that, I will bid everyone adieu and have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.